And now to the announcement of candidates for the 2025-2026 Chair of the Board. It's been an illustrious 6 months. Thank you. The following 6 directors are candidates for 2025-2026 Chair. Britney E. Harrison of Dallas. Kristina N. Kastl of Dallas. Rudolph K. Metayer of Austin. Rosalind V. O. Perez of Victoria. Shannon A.S. Quadros of Houston, and Michael J. Wynne of Houston. Each candidate will now address the board in alphabetical order up to 5 minutes each. If you don't want to use your 5 minutes, I don't think you're going to hurt people's feelings if you don't use the full time. And now we will have comments from Britney E. Harrison of Dallas, up to 5 minutes.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for the opportunity to address this esteemed board and to ask for your support in running for chair of the board. I am honored to run alongside my 5 classmates, and regardless of the outcome, I know this board will be in great hands. I know many of you, but for those who may not know me well, here's a little bit about me. I'm a wife, a bonus mom, an aunt, and a godmother. I love mentoring young attorneys and future attorneys. I'm a natural listener and a problem solver. I practice family law in Dallas, Texas, but I was born and raised right here in Austin. I began my law practice here and started my bar service almost immediately upon becoming licensed in 2010. I had the pleasure of serving under leadership of several of the Austin directors actually sitting in this room, and I learned so much from each of them. For me, bar service is what kept me in this profession. I was extremely unhappy in my first job, and I really began doubting myself and whether this profession was actually right for me. Through my bar service with the Austin Young Lawyers Association Board, I connected with the person that would help me enter the world of family law, and I truly found my calling. For that, I am forever grateful. This is my 5th year on this board. My first 3 years were 2019 through 22 when I was the TYLA president. As I'm sure you all remember, those were some trying times. We had lawsuits attacking our ability to self-govern, and there was discourse within the profession as well as within our nation. And let's not forget the COVID-19 pandemic, which forced my TYLA presidential year in 2020 to be completely virtual. In a time that many might have given up, I witnessed our bar leadership navigate these unprecedented times with grace and professionalism and bring a board together despite forces trying to tear us apart. This board and our profession came out on the other side stronger and with new perspectives. Witnessing and serving during those times solidified my desire to want to serve as chair. Bar service has given me so much, and serving as chair would give me the opportunity to give back. I'm qualified to serve in the role of chair in part due to my experience that I've gained from serving on this board over these past 2 terms, but also from my various leadership positions at the local and state level. I know how to lead, but I also know when it's prudent to take a supporting role as a facilitator, a listener, and a unifier. If elected, I will strive to carry out the mission of the State Bar and also protect our ability to self-govern. I will facilitate robust and civil discussions at our meetings, welcoming the opinions and voices of our board members, the members of our profession, and the general public. I will seek out ways to improve efficiency at the meetings and ensure everyone feels valued and supported while serving on this board. I will become an even more versed in Robert's Rules of Order and strive to continue the excellence of those before me. I also truly understand that representation matters. I want to serve as an example to those in the profession who may look like me or may have had similar struggles and let them know that they have a place in this profession and that they all bring value. In closing, I understand the time commitment and dedication required to serve as chair of this board. I am ready and willing to rise to that task. I also know that the bar year you plan is generally not always the bar year you're going to get. So whatever is thrown our way, I know this board will thrive and we will handle it together. I ask for your vote and your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Harrison. And now we will hear from Director Kristina N. Kastl, Dallas.
Your choice. Thank you. Good morning. It's very odd to be up here, to have tried 100-plus cases to jury verdict. And as I listened to Britney, I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can compare. So I just want you to know that being an attorney, being a bar leader is special. It really is. And I don't know why I'm getting so emotional, but I love the bar, I love what we do, and I love being an attorney. But more importantly, I love people. And growing up, my mom said, you're too nice to be a lawyer. Please, please be a teacher. You'd be so great. So I called her and cried after one of my very first trials, and she said, I told you, you're just too nice to be a lawyer. You just want to help people. And I said, Mom, don't you understand, as a lawyer, I get to help people. I get to be an actress. I get to be a teacher. I get to be an entrepreneur. I get to do lots of different things for lots of different folks. And in high school, I got accused of being a jack of all trades. I'd argue I was a master of all trades as well. But they said you should focus on one thing. And one thing I know is that all of my past experiences have afforded me the unique perspectives that I'm going to need to be the best chair of this board since Paul Stafford. And I mean, let's be clear, nobody can compete with Shannon Wynne, because she by far is the best chair I've ever experienced. Granted, only second year. So I just want to say that I want all of us to feel welcome here in the boardroom, no matter where we're from or what we do. I grew up in El Paso, Texas, and I was the minority. But I've never experienced a more genuine group of folks who often feel ostracized. And what I think we, as a bar, the Dallas bar, the state bar, we have made all people feel welcome and included. And so I want to continue that tradition. I want to continue trying to keep order. And I will admit that is not my strong suit. But as long as we have the exceptional staff that we have and the people that we have that come to serve every day, I know that this is going to be a fun group, a welcoming group, and an on-time group. So with that said, I'd like to see us all show up, have fun, and reach out to someone that we don't know and include them. Because I think we get in the habit of hanging out with our friends because it is fun. But if I'm chair of the board, I would like to make sure that we all get to know each other in a special way, and that we all feel that we have a role on this board doing the things that we need to do. I am told I have less than 2 minutes, so I'm going to give back part of my time. If you want to know who I am and what I'm all about, and I haven't discussed who I am and what I'm all about with you individually, please reach out. Thank you for the opportunity. It is truly an honor, a privilege, and a lot of fun to come be with all of y'all. Thanks.
Thank you, Director Kastl. We will now hear from Director Rudolph K. Metayer of Austin.
I'm guessing it's apropos, but the only person that calls me Rudolph is my mom, and I guess it's my birthday, so let's go ahead and go. Sure, let's go ahead and go with that as well. You know, I guess the easy thing to say is that pizza parties, every meeting, will end at 11:30, no matter what. We'll go from there. But as I was hearing Britney speak, you're right. We've been through a lot together. There's so many of you in this room that I've been through a variety of different paths in my career together with. We've had a lot of conversations in this specific room about the things that are facing the bar, the things that are facing this state, the state that are facing this nation. And I keep thinking back to myself that I'm not supposed to be here. I have been so blessed in so many different ways to get to this point in my life. The odds of my parents, one leaving Haiti in 1972, the other in 75, meeting at a public library in New York City, getting married, having kids, coming to leaving everybody else, you're coming down to Texas, living out in the country, being one of the few out there from that, and then graduating from the flagship institution, the greatest institution, the state right there. That just doesn't happen. Let me tell you how ignorant I was about how to become a lawyer. I didn't know there was an LST. Like, I had literally no idea whatsoever. But what I've been done and what's happening is that I've been blessed by so many friends and mentors who have guided me to this point. To hear from Judge Livingston speak, to have her guidance through the years, to have the Chief Justice of the Texas Supreme Court come to me my 2L year, Wallace Jefferson, say, hey, listen, if you need anything, just come on by. And having folks through and through who truly meant that the bar isn't just for one segment of society. The law isn't just one segment of society. It's for everyone. That's a blessing that I feel like I have to go ahead and give back on. Many years ago, I was standing in the corner of this room at one of the celebrations. It was Law Day that we had, celebrating the students that we had, you know, and all the different projects. If you haven't been part of Law Day and been to Law Day contest, I just, when you talk about how great this country is and what it can be, that personifies with these students. I was speaking to someone in the corner, and I was thinking about what I want to do with my career path. I was, you know, in the public sector, thinking private, going different ways. And the person said to me, Rudy, you have a lot of options. You will have a lot of options. A lot of people are going to tell you what to do. But don't ever forget about the bar and what it means. That person, our executive director, Trey Apple. And being raised and being supported in ways that I feel humbled by, there's nothing else I can think about is to go ahead and take a position in leadership from there. This is a special group. It's an amazing group. Our job is to go ahead and spread out and talk to other people about that. In this role, our job is to go ahead and have your voices heard, consolidating and working together, making sure that we have robust conversations that are respectful yet impactful. Our job is to represent what's the best of the state and continue to do what we do about that in a fashion that reflects the values of this great country. I'd be honored to have your vote to become the next chair of this association. I don't take that lightly. And I know all too well that the business of the bar is not just the business of lawyers. It's business of the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Metayer, and happy birthday. We'll now hear from Director Rosalind V.O. Perez of Victoria.
Good morning. Good morning. I know you've already heard from several people who are supremely qualified. For those of you who don't know me entirely well, my name is Rosalind. I live in Victoria, Texas. I am a family law practitioner in Victoria, Texas, and it's me and my two paralegals. So I'm in a slightly different position from many in this room in that I'm a small firm. I am a rural attorney, and so I have a unique position to offer a viewpoint to this board. We're facing a lot of access to justice issues with the licensing of paraprofessionals, and I believe that my unique perspective is valuable in that rural firms and small firms are the ones who are most impacted by that access to justice. We have attorneys fleeing to the urban areas. We have people fleeing to the urban areas. And so where we see the most issues of access to justice are in these rural areas. And so I think I'm uniquely positioned to help offer a point of view to this board in finding solutions and being proactive to the issues that face our attorneys who are small firms and rural areas. And so I want to be able to be a part of that solution and help us find a way forward for everyone that includes everyone, makes everyone feel represented by the bar. I think that oftentimes small firms and people in rural areas don't realize what the bar is doing. I know myself, I ended up as a director because I'm in the district where Corpus Christi is. And so Corpus was rolling off and they needed someone from a rural area. And somehow they got my phone number and asked me to run. And I figured, why not? And then I got here and I got to meet all of you amazing attorneys and non-attorneys who volunteer their time to make the bar a better place. And I got to see all of the amazing staff who work day in and day out to support us and find solutions that work for everyone in this bar. And I was just astounded. I never thought that I would be so inspired by everybody that I've met in one room, but I would love the opportunity to continue to serve all of you in finding solutions collaboratively that work for the entire state, not just attorneys, but also the public that we serve. And so I respectfully ask that you vote for me as chair of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Perez. We'll now hear from Director Shannon A.S. Quadros, Houston.
Chair Stafford, President Benish, justices and judges, my fellow directors, members of the State Bar, and of course my favorite, the State Bar staff. The State Bar Board is spoiled for choice. You have 5 of the best directors the board has to offer, plus Rudy Metayer seeking your votes for the next chair of this illustrious board. I must confess I did not appreciate the two-party American system of politics until I was confronted with the prospect of choosing 1 out of 6. For those of you who have not had a chance to visit yet, my name is Shannon Quadros. I'm a construction attorney and arbitrator from Houston, and I'm one of many directors that represent Houston on the State Bar Board, and I'm here on my 2nd year as a director. I'm the managing shareholder of my firm, Quadros, Meagler & Crosby. We have offices in Houston, Austin, and Dallas. And I'm the very proud parent of soon-to-be 10-year-old boy-girl twins, Arden and William, who, if you're lucky, you might catch them at an annual meeting if I can tear them away from the pool or tear them away from Roblox. While I've spent over half my life in Houston, I grew up far, far away in the desert island kingdom of Bahrain in the Middle East. Oddly enough, between the heat, the humidity, and all the people in the oil business, I feel like I've lived in Houston my entire life. Now that you know the who, I just want to focus a little bit on the why. Why do I want this job? And it is a full-time job, as Paul and Kenan and the chairs will tell you before, to be the chair of the board. I originally trained to be an electrical engineer. I confess, I never had even the foggiest notion of ever wanting to be a lawyer growing up. I always thought I was going to be some mad scientist working in a lab in some sort. But here I am, I stand before you now in my 2nd decade of practice of law, and I will tell you, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. The practice of law has given me everything, and I mean everything that I hold dear. It allows me to provide for my little family, it puts a roof over my head, and thanks to last night's dinner, put a little crab cake in my belly too. But the law has really allowed me to fulfill a higher purpose. And for me, that was this driving need to want to help people. That's what I always wanted to do. I wanted to help people. Providing solutions, alleviating the anxiety and the apprehension of a complicated jurisprudential system that, speaks a different language for people, that is what I was truly meant to do. While my children, make me get out of bed in the morning, and they really do make me get out of bed in the morning, knowing that I made a difference, that I solved a problem for a client, that helps me sleep at night. I'm compelled to give back to this profession that has given so much personal fulfillment to me. As a less than 10-year minted citizen of these United States, I also recognize bar service is public service. I have to say, I was too darn old when I graduated law school to enlist. But bar service is the way that I can give back to the land that has been so provident to me. I shared recently on social media a quote that really struck me as pertinent to this chat we're having today. It said, "I helped a man climb a mountain and found that I too had reached the top." So that's how I see things. As bar directors, if we can help the attorneys we represent and the public we serve climb those mountains, we too will find that we reach the top. I look forward to visiting with you all in the next few weeks and talk about how we can all do better together as a board. And I will leave you and your constituents with this. I cannot promise that I will solve all your problems, but I can promise that you will not be left to face them alone. Again, I'm Shannon Quadros, and I ask for your vote for chair of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Quadros. We will now hear from Director Michael J. Wynne, Houston.
Mr. Chair, Mr. President, Mr. Executive Director, good morning. My name is Michael Wynne. I'm originally from Syracuse, New York, in the snow belt, and feel just at home, I guess, last week. I moved to Texas in 1990, not knowing anyone. This is a very special and a very welcoming state as I look back 35 years later. And I'm not sure that what I've been able to experience and treasure would have been available to somebody, going to any other state. Reflect on my career, and I've taken an unconventional path. You're not going to see a string of bar associations behind my name, partly because I was a federal prosecutor in some of the most sensitive public corruption cases in the state, if not the country, and I felt there was a conflict of interest. I was involved in the 9/11 investigation, the anthrax investigation, represented France in connection with the Concorde crash, takedowns of thousands of child pornographers. Most recently, I was involved in preserving Bluebell, Tannenbaum Engineering, and being at the epicenter of the scandal involving our Attorney General and the impeachment proceedings. I represent foreign politicians. The bottom line is I've been in the hottest of the hottest seats, and I think those leadership skills are transferable. So I stand here asking you to consider my candidacy for chair, and that's a very, very big ask. You may ask, where has this guy been the past year? Well, I suffered a series of losses in my immediate family, culminating my mother and my closest uncle about a year ago. And I've had a lot of time to reflect, and I've spent a lot of time kind of on my own. Done a little bit of research. We spend far more money on our attorney discipline program than we do attorney rehabilitation. 80% of the grievances in this state arise out of attorney mental illness or substance abuse. It is an occupational hazard, one we have to take seriously, and I'll come back to that in a minute. In my first term, 2015 to 18, I was known as a little bit of a rabble-rouser. And I was that intentionally because there was a lot of what I'll call nonsense going on. And I took it upon myself, among others at the time, including our former chair, Jerry Alexander, to try to bring sanity back. One of the things I'm most happy about is supporting our executive director and seeing him right the ship since then. We've become, as I've returned, a stable, professional, dignified board represents the best. But this is not about an individual, not about any of us, but it's a torch to be passed. And while we established a level of professionalism, there's some things that are critical that I'd like to address and keep in mind. Number one is the finances of this board. What rings in my head is that chart that that President Benesh showed us about the future finances of this organization going forward and what we need to do, including unabashedly being willing to raise dues and go all in on this fundraising effort for the new facilities we so desperately need to carry it forward for future generations of lawyers. Number two, constituency services. These presentations are fantastic, and I've done them, and you get a lot out of them. But most people, lawyers, first think about the bar with some trepidation. What they need is some type of ombudsman. I don't know, maybe we wear these pins, but I've been able to help individual lawyers through the grievance system, the Byzantine rules on advertising, things like that, to let them know, that we're here to do these things, because you can forget these 30 benefits pretty darn quickly. But what you may need is an advocate to serve your constituents and be there and to know where to go. And most critically, I'm concerned about mentorship. We just are losing that. And as we isolate ourselves and depend too much on AI and remote work, we lose those opportunities to train those young lawyers. We need to do that, and we need to reach those lawyers who are disinclined to come out there and become involved in events like this, or your local bar associations. All right, those people are going to be okay. It's the associates, third, fourth level, who don't come. They're the ones who need our help. Those are my objectives. We have a lot to accomplish.
Thank you, Director Wynne. I ask again, and this is actually part of my report, are there any comments from directors?